Entitled parent demanded we brought birthday gifts for all her kids and not just the birthday boy. My aunt has two kids, an 8-year-old boy who is sweet and no trouble at all, and my 2-year-old cousin, a girl who demands everything. Seriously, if you have something and she doesn't, she'll hold her breath until she gets it, crying nonstop until she achieves her goal. It was my 8-year-old cousin's birthday and he was having a party. However, my aunt told me it would also be a party for the girl whose birthday was in December. There would be 2 cakes, birthday banners with her name on them, and people would have to pretend it was her birthday too. How is this fair to the actual birthday boy? My aunt also informed everyone that we had to bring gifts for both kids, and if not, we wouldn't be allowed to attend. It had to be fair for both of them, she said. Despite her demand, I decided not to buy presents for both kids but attended the party anyway. From the moment I arrived, it felt like a nightmare. Everyone was tending to the girl, and no one, besides me, acknowledged the actual birthday boy. People even sang happy birthday to her, took pictures of her, and she received loads of money, a new bike, and other gifts. She got double what the birthday boy received. I felt terrible for him. At one point, I found him crying in his room. He said no one cared about him. I confronted my aunt about this, and she said I had ruined the day and needed to leave. What an entitled woman and her horrid, bratty kid. To give you more context, let me take you back to the days leading up to the party. I received a call from my aunt, her voice laced with excitement. "We're planning a party for John, but we're going to celebrate Emily's birthday too," she said. I was taken aback. "But Emily's birthday was months ago," I replied, puzzled. "I know, but she's been feeling left out, and I think it would be nice for her to have a celebration too," my aunt explained. I sighed, realizing there was no point in arguing with her. "All right," I said reluctantly, "but don't you think this will take away from John's special day?" "Oh, nonsense," my aunt dismissed my concerns. "It'll be fine. Just make sure you bring gifts for both of them." The day of the party arrived, and as soon as I walked in, I felt the tension in the air. The living room was decorated with banners bearing both children's names, and 2 cakes sat on the dining table. One was a superhero-themed cake for John, and the other was a princess cake for Emily. I approached John to wish him a happy birthday, but he seemed downcast. "Hey, buddy," I said, kneeling down to his level. "Happy birthday." He gave me a small smile. "Thanks," he muttered, glancing over at the crowd gathered around his sister. My heart ached for him. Throughout the party, Emily was the center of attention. People showered her with gifts and praise, while John stood in the background, watching. I tried to engage him in conversation and games, but it was clear he felt overshadowed. At one point, I noticed him slipping away to his room. I followed him and found him sitting on his bed, tears streaming down his face. "John, what's wrong?" I asked gently. "No one cares about me," he sobbed. "It's supposed to be my birthday, but everyone is here for Emily." I felt a surge of anger towards my aunt. How could she let this happen? "I'm so sorry, John," I said, hugging him. "You deserve to be celebrated too." Determined to make things right, I marched back downstairs and confronted my aunt. "This is ridiculous," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "John's birthday is being completely overshadowed by Emily. This isn't fair to him." My aunt glared at me. "You're overreacting," she snapped. "Emily deserves to be celebrated too, but not at the expense of John's special day," I argued. "He feels ignored and unloved. This isn't right." My aunt crossed her arms. "Well, if you can't support both of my children, then you need to leave," she said coldly. Fuming, I grabbed my coat and left the party, but not before giving John one last hug. "I'll make it up to you, buddy," I promised. "We'll have a special day just for you." As I drove home, I couldn't shake the anger and sadness I felt. My aunt's entitlement and favoritism were hurting her own children. It wasn't just about the gifts or the attention. It was about the message she was sending to John that he wasn't as important as his sister. In the days that followed, I planned a special outing for John. We went to his favorite amusement park, rode all the rides, and ate his favorite foods. I wanted him to know that he was loved and valued, and that his special day mattered. John's face lit up with joy, and seeing him happy made everything worth it. "This is the best birthday ever," he said, beaming. "I'm glad you had fun," I said, smiling. "You deserve it." From that day on, I made a promise to myself to always stand up for John and ensure he felt special and loved no matter what. It wasn't just about the birthday party, it was about showing him that he was important and valued, even when others failed to do so. Reflecting on the whole situation, I realized that my aunt's behavior was more than just entitlement, it was a toxic pattern that needed to be addressed. I decided to have a heart-to-heart conversation with her, hoping to make her see the impact of her actions. A few weeks later, I visited my aunt's house. "Can we talk?" I asked, sitting down at the kitchen table. She looked wary but nodded. "I know you love both of your kids, but the way you handled John's birthday was unfair and hurtful." My aunt sighed. "I didn't mean to hurt him. I just wanted to make Emily feel included. I understand that," I said gently. "But by doing so, you made John feel excluded. He deserves to have his special day without having to share it. Celebrating Emily doesn't mean taking away from John." She looked thoughtful. "I never saw it that way. I just wanted them both to be happy." "I know," I replied, "but sometimes making one child happy shouldn't come at the expense of the other. They both deserve to feel special in their own ways." My aunt nodded slowly. "You're right. I'll make it up to John, and I'll try to be more mindful in the future." I left her house feeling hopeful. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a step in the right direction. I knew it would take time for my aunt to change her ways, but I was determined to be there for John and support him. As the months passed, I noticed small changes in my aunt's behavior. She started paying more attention to John's needs and making an effort to celebrate his achievements. It wasn't a complete transformation, but it was progress. John's next birthday was approaching, and I hoped this time would be different. I offered to help my aunt plan the party, ensuring that it would be all about John. She agreed, and we worked together to make it a day he would never forget. The party was a huge success. John was the center of attention, surrounded by friends and family who showered him with love and gifts. He beamed with happiness, and I could see the difference it made. After the party, John hugged me tightly. "Thank you," he said, his eyes shining with gratitude. "This was the best birthday ever." I smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "You deserve it, buddy. I'm always here for you." Looking back on the whole experience, I realized that standing up for what was right, even when it was difficult, was worth it. It wasn't just about a birthday party. It was about showing John that he was loved and valued and that he mattered. And that was the greatest gift of all.